Hey everybody, Daniel back here. Wanted to make a quick video this morning about currency. Don't really remember why, but for some odd reason or other, it occurred to me that people don't really know what currency is. And there's also a lot of internet discussions, libertarian and otherwise, online about people saying, well, what we really need to do is just get away from money and go back to bartering. Let me tell you why that's asinine. First of all, currency, any money, is basically something that is supposed to represent labor hours. Labor hours, of course, being, what you're really trading, according to my other videos earlier, for anything, goods and services and so forth. I'm trading my work with you, you're trading your work with me. That's what economics is really all about at the end of the day. And currency can be a lot of different things. And people talk about fiat currency, and they talk about other forms of currency as well. In libertarianism, there's a whole group of people that say, well, dollars are just fiat currency, and that's terrible, and we need real money like gold, and gold is fiat currency. I'm sorry, but it is. Everything humans have ever used is in some form fiat currency, except for bartering. Here's why bartering doesn't work. Bartering doesn't work because of what currency is supposed to do. Currency is supposed to fulfill a couple of different functions. It's supposed to facilitate the trade of labor. Now, bartering works to do that in particular ways, and it fails in others. And the main issue with currency is it needs to be constant-ish. I could argue that US and Canadian dollars and euros and everything like that really aren't, because why the heck not? Can't the government just print more of it or whatever else? And then that is a strike against that. But otherwise, it's generally pretty constant. But it needs to have some kind of consistency to it, at least. I can't go and pay $1 for a pack of gum today, and then tomorrow it'd be $30. Like, that doesn't work. But in bartering, that may in fact happen. It needs to be tradable and recognized. And so, dollars do a pretty good job of that, because it's illegal to not take them. Gold does a pretty good job of that, too. And it needs to have some sort of store of value. Loaves of bread don't make good currency, because bread's usefulness is pretty limited. Raw chicken meat, not a good store of value. Pretty much about a day after you've already cut up the chicken, no one really wants it anymore. No. I mean, you can freeze it, and then it'll last for, a few weeks at best, then you're done. That's the take. It went away. Hey, you want this raw chicken? No. Labor itself could be used kind of as a currency. It's just not very good at it. It's more or less bartering, but it's service bartering. So, for instance, you could fix my roof, and I could cut your grass. Of course, I don't actually have a hammer yet. I have to do something else to get that. I've got to do something for the blacksmith, who has to do something for someone to get him the raw materials. It doesn't really work that well. Here's the biggest problem with people saying, we should just go back to bartering. Pretty surface level, I know, but Jane bakes pies. Billy cuts grass. Jane only has so much grass. And in the wintertime, Jane doesn't really need to cut grass. More importantly, Billy can only eat so many pies. I don't really know how much more I'll have to expand on that. Yes, Billy could trade the pie also for something else, but it's not a very good store of value. A week after getting the pie is not really useful anymore to anybody. And yeah, no, it doesn't work. If we go back to bartering, it's not altogether unlike if we try to do pure communism. If we go back to bartering, what we're going to end up with is everybody basically living like cave people. Sure, I can go, in theory, I'm not a hunter, but I could go and hunt deer and give that to you for berries. I don't want to do that. I would rather have things like immunization shots and air conditioning. That's nice for me. I like those things. I'm weird that way. And people don't understand that that's what would happen. In both cases, by the way. Because pure communism can only really be done if everyone works and produces a good to trade. Now, you can have levels of communism. You can have almost pure communism and still have a currency system. But pure, unadulterated communism ultimately means that you cannot invest anything for any reason ever whatsoever. You couldn't, because you wouldn't have a currency to do it with. You don't really have private property. Ultimately, it would destroy all of the wealth. Thankfully, there aren't very many people that argue for pure communism, so that's good. At least people realize that that's a thing. But then on the other side of the spectrum, they say, well, we need to just go back to bartering. Well, no, you don't. Okay, well, what about gold? Well, gold is basically okay as a currency. It's kind of heavy. It's not very portable. It's really easy to steal in terms of... I physically have it in my house, possibly in the bank. You can't really trace it. You just melt it down. Like, at least dollars, if you melt them down, if they're plastic, or if you burn them if they're paper, you're not going to be able to use them anymore. Gold, you can just melt that crap down, reforge a new coin out of it, and you can make a blank out of it if you want, and then just trade that. And in theory, you could make doing that illegal and all that, but then the underground market's just going to find a way to do it anyway. It's not that hard to fake a coin. It's just that coins aren't worth very much, so, forgers don't usually try. Yeah, so gold has problems. If I'm going to go buy a car, I want something to at least act like modern currency. I don't want to have to bring a big bag of gold with me. I don't want to have big bags of gold sitting in a bank where they give me a treasury note that then trade. Oh wait, we did that. That was called money. Yeah, that was called dollars. Shoot, we just went back to the exact same place we started. So no, gold, it's nice to have something that backs it, that you can trade all over the world like gold. Having a gold-backed currency, that's fine. But just saying that we should use gold as currency is wildly inconvenient for modern times. We need to trade weight. I need to be able to log into my bank account on my smartphone and transfer thousands of dollars in a split second. I'm not willing to go to gold I'm not willing to give that up just to go to gold. It's not going to happen. No one's going to do that. Bitcoin and other forms of electronic currency? Maybe. Once they, kind of figure it out. To be honest, there aren't actually enough physical dollars in the world to represent the dollar value of the wealth. They don't actually just print them, per se. Most of it is actually already electronic. So there'll probably be some kind of convergence there someplace. Whether it'll be decentralized, like Bitcoin, or something similar, don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I would suggest that if they ever get that where it's nice and secure, sure, that'll probably work really well. But in the meanwhile, you may not like the fact that the government can manipulate the value of your currency, and you may not like the fact that it's a physical medium of exchange, and you may not like the fact that the currency itself is only representative of a value and doesn't actually have any value, but there really aren't any better options, because you need currency to do all the different things that you need it to do in the modern era. So that's kind of the problem with that. You need something you can trade, holds some kind of basic level of value, and that, isn't susceptible to all sorts of really awful things, like having to physically store it up, and it's just, no one sticks money under a mattress. Old people maybe, but that's because they're paranoid and need to stop being allowed to live by themselves. But yeah, pretty much dollars are where we're at, and that's probably where we're going to be for at least the next 50 years, until some kind of electronic currency or something comes along to replace it and makes it way more convenient. Because ultimately, that's the issue. People want a convenient medium of exchange that they can rely on. If you can make that, you're golden. See you guys.